The Nevada sun hung low in the sky, smearing the landscape with hues of fading orange and casting long serpentine shadows that coiled and slithered into the crevices of Spring Valley. Here in the heart of the Mojave, nestled between the arid mountains, sprawled a town lined with meticulously trimmed hedges and palatial homes. George Mason stepped out from the grating hum of his old car, his eyes taking in the affluence dressed in quiet restraint. His gaze was calm, observant, revealing little of the tempest he had weathered inside his own mind. His fingers traced over a photograph of a young woman, her vivacious smile a stark contrast to the expression of concern, now etching lines onto his weathered face. He entered the desert's Oasis, an opulent Art Deco structure teeming with well-dressed patrons, all too eager to embrace the night's promises. The melodic tinkling of laughter permeated the air, merging with the sultry undertones of jazz, each note curling into the smoky atmosphere. George moved through the crowd, an external placidity masking his internal turmoil, his mood not quite aligning with the carefree veneer of the revelers around him. He was an island of somber introspection amidst a sea of intoxicating hedonism. He observed, he listened, taking note of the casual arrogance of wealth, the whisper of satin dresses, the clink of jewelry, and the hushed tones of secrets shared under the veil of music. An old friend, Richard, now a local, cornered him at the bar, clapping him on the shoulder. "George, it's been years," Richard grinned, the lines of his weathered face folding into welcoming crevices. He gestured at the crowd. "Impressive, isn't it?" George glanced around, his journalist's eye seeing beyond the glamour. "There's more to it, isn't there?" he questioned, a lopsided smile playing on his lips. Richard's eyes held a flicker of something he had become adept at spotting, fear perhaps, or something much darker. "Nectar," Richard whispered, a sense of dread choking his voice. "It's not what it seems, George." The implication hung in the air like a specter, Richard's eyes pleading for understanding. As the night wore on, the energy of the club shifted subtly. George noticed the patrons' laughter growing louder, their movements fluid, their eyes glowing with a strange fervor. It was more than just the intoxication of wealth and alcohol. His stomach tightened, unease creeping in like fog. He thought of the young woman in the photograph, her life unwittingly entangled with the dark opulence of the desert's oasis. The quiet, affluent town of Spring Valley started to reveal its true colors beneath the disquieting silence. The revelation of the nectar, the otherworldly elixir, marked the beginning of a descent into a world that lay hidden beneath the veneer of extravagant parties and sophisticated dialogues. A world that promised to shake the very foundations of its reality. The pulsating heartbeat of the desert's oasis slowed as dawn arrived, and the sleepy town of Spring Valley began to stir under the soft gaze of the morning sun. George Mason, however, was a man awake in a world half asleep, his mind churning with revelations that lay hidden in the underbelly of the affluent town. Each layer of his character peeled back slowly, revealing the man beneath the journalist. His quiet demeanor shielded a generous heart, one haunted by personal storms and fueled by an innate desire to protect those ensnared in the same tempest. His eyes, mirroring the undulating waves of his bipolar disorder, flickered with a fervor that bore the mark of past trauma and present determination. In a quaint cafe, he found himself sitting across from Richard, their conversation insulated within a bubble of brewing coffee and buttery croissants. He saw in Richard's guarded eyes the reflection of a dangerous secret. The world of the desert's oasis was not limited to its patrons' boundless opulence. It seeped into something much darker, much more potent, a dangerous cocktail of wealth, excess, and a substance known as nectar. "The nectar, George," Richard stammered, his words laced with a mix of fear and awe. "It's not just a drug, it's a doorway." A chill ran down his spine. His thoughts darted to the picture of the smiling woman, her fate unknowingly tangled in this grandiose world of affluence and eerie enigmas. Days turned into nights and back into days as he delved deeper, navigating a dangerous labyrinth of discreet handoffs, hidden labs, and hushed whispers. He watched as those who indulged in the nectar became more than just high. Their expressions morphed into something unworldly, their eyes shimmering with a distant cosmic dance. His dread deepened, a sense of foreboding gnawing at him. His investigation was punctuated by intimate recollections of his past, reminders of a personal battle against the convoluted labyrinth of his mind. The nectar, it seemed, was an instrument far surpassing the dimensions of human consciousness, providing an insight into unknown territories of the mind, and perhaps even beyond. It stirred a strange familiarity within him, a connection to his own experiences with the unfathomable depths of mental illness. His investigation concluded under the half-lit neon sign of the desert's oasis. As he unearthed the nature of the nectar, he saw the slow encroachment of a terrifying reality. The town of Spring Valley, as he knew it, was changing, its core interlacing with an ancient eldritch thread. A knot of dread coiled in his stomach, his fear for his loved ones amplifying tenfold as he peered at the precipice of a cosmic abyss. In the quietude following the wild nights at the desert's oasis, Spring Valley lay hushed, as if nursing a deep, intoxicating hangover. For George Mason, however, the silence was not peaceful, but deafening. His world was now colored with unsettling revelations and a burgeoning dread. Despite the tumult within him, his quiet, reserved demeanor barely faltered, his fairness grounding him amidst the spiraling chaos. Beneath the surface, his mind churned like a storm-ridden sea, the ebb and flow of his bipolar disorder intensified by his growing apprehension. He found himself again in Richard's company, their bond strengthened by the shared weight of their revelations. Richard's usual gregarious nature was tinged with a solemnity that mirrored his internal turmoil. "This isn't about just experiencing the beyond," Richard confessed, his voice a hushed whisper drowned by the rustling desert wind. "It's about letting the beyond experience us." The words echoed in George's mind, painting a terrifying picture. The nectar was not just a mind enhancer, it was a bridge, a portal to an entity from beyond their reality, an eldritch deity yearning for a connection to their world. As the days blurred into nights, he bore witness to the transformation of the patrons of the desert's oasis. Their indulgence in the nectar was not mere hedonism, but a means of communion with the ancient deity. The nightclub, under the guise of grand parties and exuberant merriment, was the epicenter of rituals as old as time, each one drawing the deity closer to their realm. His journalistic instinct now intertwined with a personal mission as he dove deeper into the thickening plot, his memories serving as guideposts in the otherwise disorienting journey. He was no stranger to the convoluted corridors of the mind, his past filled with personal battles against his own mental maze. Yet the reality he was uncovering was far more intricate and terrifying, the unknown entity casting a long, ominous shadow on his understanding of the world around him. As he delved deeper into the abyss, he could feel the deity's influence creeping into the town. The once familiar surroundings now appeared uncanny, twisted subtly under the gaze of the ancient entity. It was in the vacant stares of the nectar-dazed patrons, the oddly distorted shadows under the neon lights, and the unsettling quiet that punctuated the frenzied parties. The images of his loved ones haunted him as ghostly reminders of the imminent danger. As the sun dipped below the jagged horizon of Spring Valley, painting the sky in vivid hues of twilight, an eerie stillness settled over the town. It was as if the world was holding its breath, anticipating a fateful climax. For George Mason, the surreal calm felt like the calm before a cosmic tempest. The normally bustling desert's oasis was devoid of its opulent revelers, its neon lights flickering ominously in the fading daylight. He found himself standing at the precipice of his journey, the final vestiges of his old reality fading into the background, replaced by a terrifying new understanding. Richard appeared beside him, his normally warm eyes hollow, reflecting the abyss that had consumed them. "It's too late, George," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the rustling desert wind. "The deity, it's almost here." Yet in the face of the unending terror, George found a sliver of hope in the love of his friends, his family. His determination, born from this fierce love, was the only light that dared to flicker amidst the encroaching darkness. Each interaction, each discovery, had been a thread, slowly weaving the tapestry of his ordeal. Now, as he found himself face to face with the unfathomable, George summoned every bit of his strength. He confronted the deity, not with weapons or aggression, but with the raw power of his humanity, his vulnerability, and his indomitable spirit. "You won't have them," he declared, his voice resonating amidst the foreboding silence. It was not just a statement, but a challenge, a rebellion against the eldritch force that dared to infiltrate their realm. His quiet demeanor erupted into an avalanche of courage, his voice echoing into the cosmic abyss. A shudder passed through the town, a ripple in the fabric of their reality. He felt it within him, a strange resonance, his own mental labyrinth becoming a shield, turning his previous affliction into his greatest weapon. And then, with a suddenness that left the world breathless, the unsettling stillness was broken. He fled the club, leaving behind the shadowed echoes of the deity's arrival, his escape punctuated by the sounds of an eerie lullaby that seemed to seep from the cracks of the world. He was a changed man. His loved ones, saved from the impending doom, were the only remaining semblance of his past life. But the peace was merely an illusion, a brief respite before the storm. The deity was not vanquished, merely delayed. As he looked out onto the darkened horizon of Spring Valley, he realized his escape was unending, his battle far from over. The dread, the abyss, and the deity would always be a part of him, a haunting melody in the symphony of his existence. We appreciate you tuning in. If you fancied the content, show your support with a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to keep up with our eerie adventures. Eldritch Tales Factory has plenty more to offer. Until next time.